I'm at the Liberal Democrat Spring Conference in Sheffield, and I have here the party president, Tim Farron MP, and the question I would like Tim to answer is, what is the main thing that we Liberal Democrats can take away from this spring conference?
Well, I think, Chris, thanks very much. I think there are many things we can take away from it, not least that we're making a very big difference in government, bearing in mind that these are incredibly difficult times. Whoever was in power, if you put the Guardian editorial board around the cabinet table today, after a week of wringing their hands, they'd have to be doing at the end of it pretty much the same sort of things that we're doing. So no one's going to pretend that we're not having to clean up an awful, awful mess. Some of which was the responsibility of the last government, some of it was down to an international financial mess created across the board. But what we're doing is making a huge difference against that backdrop. Remember, without the Liberal Democrats in government, there would not be an income tax cut for the poorest workers in just a few weeks' time. Neither would the pensions be going up for millions of pensioners up and down this country for the first time in a decent way for 30 years. What would be happening without the Liberal Democrats is that we'd be renewing Trump, and we'd also be giving inheritance tax cuts to millionaires. And there would be no capital gains tax increase to make sure that richer people are paying their fair share more. There'd be no bankers levy, meaning 10 billion extra pounds put into the economy that bankers are having to pay to help clean up the mess they helped to create. We're also greening our economy and making sure that against the background of a dreadful economic situation, we're going to make sure that through green and sustainable growth, we end up with an economy that can not only sustain us economically, but can also sustain us environmentally in the future. Bottom line is that after, 65 years in the wilderness, we had the chance last May to sit on our hands and do nothing, and to be at this conference and make sure there wasn't a single protester outside and nobody watching whatsoever, as we sat back and allowed the Tories to take control and make much worse for us. Instead, we had the bottle to go into government and to some very difficult things. Britain would be a far worse place without us. We would be having a far easier time, but also we'd be a complete irrelevance. We're not an irrelevance. After all those years we finally arrived, let's not pretend it's easy.
Tim Farron, party president, thank you very much indeed.
Chris, all right.